Hello YouTube. This is about the Ural Mountains again. There's so much more to tell. Well, in the vicinity of the village of Mazuyevka, in the Perm Krai or Perm region, there are little visited but quite interesting sites. Here you can see the mysterious lakes of the Mazuyev karst depression and the impressive sinkhole of the wolf pit, at the bottom of which is the entrance to the legendary Varsanofieva cave, Ural Mountains wolf pit. This huge sinkhole was a cave, has been known to the locals for a long time, but has enjoyed a bad reputation. It is located in the forest near the village of Mazuyevka, in the Kishertsky district of the Perm Krai. I will include the coordinates in the description to this video. The size of the sinkhole is 120 by 90 meters, and the depth is up to 54 meters. The eastern wall is a high and sheer cliff. It is badly cracked, with boulders hanging from above, ready to fall at any moment. So if you ever get there, and if you do, you have to be very careful and listen more to what I'll tell you. But at least you know where it is in the Ural Mountains, one of the many mysterious places there. Apparently, there was a recent collapse there, as a result of which the vaults of the grotto collapsed at the bottom of the sinkhole. We don't want to think that any of the tourists could have been there at that moment. The sinkhole is named Wolf Pit, like I said. It's always cool at the bottom of the sinkhole. In its deepest part, snow and ice lie under the rock even in the summertime. From here, a manhole leads down into the Varsanofieva cave, named after the first researcher. The name of Vera Alexandrovna Varsanofieva, who lived between the years 1890 and 1976, is not widely known now in Russia. Meanwhile, she was a very interesting, amazing person. While living in Moscow in 1911, Varsanofieva first found herself in the Urals, and they found a place in her heart, those mountains. She never forgot them. Subsequently, she studied the geology of the Urals. She was a geologist, geomorphologist, popularizer of science, engaged in teaching. Vera Alexandrovna became the first woman to receive the degree of Doctor of Geological and Mineralogical Sciences. At the same time, she was not into politics. You see, she was arrested once. The reason for this was her correspondence with one of her employees, Nikolai Yordansky, whom she jokingly called Captain Njord. When it was mentioned in one of the letters to Captain Njord that gold had been found in the concentrates that he had washed in the Urals, Varsanofieva was arrested and interrogations began. She was lucky, very lucky. The police did not make far-fetched accusations against the young woman and soon released her. Miraculously, she was spared a sad fate, even in the midst of communist repression. See, she was the daughter of a general of the Russian Imperial Army, and when the Reds took control over Russia, executions and imprisonment followed. During her life, Varsanofieva wrote more than 150 scientific papers and received many awards. She died in 1976 in Moscow at the age of 85. But let's go back to the Urals. You see, Varsanofieva first explored the cave in the Wolf Pit sinkhole back in 1911. She was very young at the time. She was only 21 years old. She studied karst phenomena in the area and heard from the local peasants about the mysterious cave. They told a legend related to the cave. According to the legend, a large lake is enclosed in the cave, on the shore of which there is a chest with gold and all sorts of jewelry. A woman is sitting on that chest and promises to give her treasures to the one who brings her a human head. I was seriously assured that some grandfathers named Frol and Ivan, who tried to get into the cave during their youth, saw this woman with their own eyes and heard her promises. Recently, there have been few brave souls who decided to go down into the wolf pit. 2 or 3 years ago, 2 brave men came from some village and decided to try their luck. It was as if they had reached the lake, made a small raft and tried to swim. But then a terrible noise and rumble arose in the cave. Stones fell from the ceiling and the frightened researchers hurried back. Varsanofieva wrote in her notes, such a cave could not fail to interest the young woman. At her request, the locals led her to that sinkhole. Such courage on the part of the young woman amazed the locals, but instead of admiration, the peasants, on the contrary, treated Varsanofieva with great suspicion and were even hostile. A lot of people gathered from all the surrounding villages to watch her go down into the wolf pit. The descent took place under the unfriendly gaze of hundreds of eyes. The young woman went into the cave alone. There was a big pile of snow at the entrance, and it was in August, okay? There was a cloud of fog there, giving the entrance to the mysterious cave an ominous appearance. It turned out that the depth of the cave is divided into 2 parts. The right passage, in the form of an uneven, sometimes narrowing corridor, littered with piles of debris, descended and led to an elongated blind grotto, filled with cold and transparent water. Varsanofieva did not encounter the woman with the treasures. The second left passage narrowed and turned into a crack. After some time, 2 more brave men came down to the young woman, a mechanic from the Mazuyevskaya mill and a hunter. They tried to enter the cave in the spring, but could not go beyond the first grotto, where there was water. The 3 of them barely squeezed through a narrow crack opening in the wall of a large grotto, quite high above its floor. In the absence of other devices, Varsanofieva had to go on the reins. I refer to long, narrow straps attached to each end of the bit of a bridle and used by a rider or driver to control a horse or other animal. After exploring the cave, the daredevils got out. The peasants told the young woman that there were many other caves nearby, which had collapsed by that time. In 1915, Varsanofieva wrote a large article about her research on karst in this part of the Urals. Currently, Varsanofieva's cave and the rock next to it are dangerous due to the threat of landslides. And to get into the cave, you need to overcome a well with a depth of 12 meters. The visit is possible only with sufficient experience using ropes and other equipment. The length of the cave reportedly reaches 200 meters. The wolf pit is located on the territory of the so-called Mazuyevskaya karst depression. Karst depressions in geology are called closed depressions in diameter from several hundred meters to several kilometers, with mainly underground runoff from them. The Mazuyev depression is confined to easily soluble sulfate rocks. It is interesting that here in karst craters, there are lakes of various stages of development, from young and slightly swampy to ancient basins completely covered with rafting. These places are a landscape monument of nature. And reportedly, there are very unusual creatures, cryptids, you might say, that had been seen in some of the lakes. Here is a very interesting narrative from people who were on site there not that long ago. After driving a few more kilometers, we went on a hike to the so-called Mazuyevskaya or Mazuyev karst depression. Due to the construction of a gas pipeline and semi-overgrown roads, it was not so easy. Along the way, we encountered numerous traces of the presence of wild animals in the form of footprints, excavated turf, and excavated anthills. After overcoming the obstacle course, we found ourselves at the Sinkhole wolf pit. Judging by the overgrown path, tourists rarely come here. There are traces of a fresh collapse on the bottom. It's creepy to be next to the cracked rock wall. There was still snow on the bottom in places, and the entrance to the Varsanofieva cave was darkening. This is what I wanted to let you know about this very unusual, very enigmatic place in the Ural Mountains, and I'll tell you more about the mountains as we go along. There's so much more to tell, but I already have a number of videos that should interest you. And if you like my research, please kindly support me through the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please like my videos. Please look at my channel and tell others about it. Thank you.